Since the dawn of consciousness, humanity has been enslaved by forces it refuses to acknowledge. We speak of love, of romance, of connection. But what if I told you that what we call attraction is nothing more than the shadow self desperately seeking its missing pieces? What if our deepest desires are not expressions of choice, but ancient psychological programs running beneath our awareness? Carl Gustav Jung understood something most never dare confront. Sexual attraction is not about beauty, status, or compatibility. It is about the unconscious mind projecting its hidden wounds, its suppressed aspects, onto another human being. We do not fall in love with people. We fall in love with mirrors of our own psychological incompleteness. Every day, millions chase relationships believing they seek happiness, when in reality, they are unconsciously driven by forces that would horrify them if brought to light. The person you desire most intensely may be the one who carries the exact psychological poison you need to confront within yourself. Over the next minutes, we will descend into Jung's most unsettling discoveries about human attraction. This is not relationship advice. This is psychological archaeology. We will unearth the hidden mechanisms that control your deepest desires and reveal the shadow dynamics that govern every intimate connection. Prepare yourself, for what you are about to learn cannot be unlearned. The anima and animus, your unconscious opposite. Every human carries within their unconscious a contrasexual archetype. Men carry the anima, their inner feminine. Women carry the animos, their inner masculine. Sexual attraction is the unconscious projection of this internal opposite onto external individuals. Jung discovered that we are not complete beings seeking companionship, but fragmented souls seeking wholeness. The anima contains all the feminine qualities men have suppressed: emotional depth, intuition, receptivity. The animus holds women's repressed masculine traits: assertiveness, logic, independence. When we encounter someone who embodies these projected qualities, we experience what we mistake for love at first sight. Consider Napoleon and Josephine. Napoleon, the ultimate masculine conqueror, was utterly enslaved by Josephine, a woman who embodied everything his conscious mind rejected: emotional unpredictability and feminine mystique. His letters reveal a man desperate for the very qualities his animo projected onto her. When she proved unfaithful, he was devastated not by losing her, but by losing his projected feminine self. Look at your relationship patterns. The type you consistently attract represents your unconscious opposite. The cold, distant partner reflects your suppressed need for emotional detachment. The chaotic, passionate lover mirrors your denied spontaneity. Dating apps have become projection machines, where we swipe right on our own psychological shadows. First, map your anima or animus. What qualities do you consistently find attractive? These are your suppressed aspects demanding integration. Second, before pursuing someone, ask, am I attracted to them or to the parts of myself I see reflected? The shadow attraction. We desire our forbidden selves. We are most intensely attracted to those who embody the aspects of ourselves we have rejected, denied, or buried in our personal shadow. The shadow contains everything we refuse to be. If you pride yourself on being rational, your shadow holds irrationality. If you identify as kind, your shadow harbors cruelty. Sexual attraction often functions as shadow recognition. We are drawn to people who live out the life we have forbidden ourselves. The Greeks understood this through Persephone and Hades. Persephone, goddess of spring and innocence, is irresistibly drawn to Hades, lord of the underworld. This is not kidnapping, it is psychological truth. The conscious self is magnetically drawn to its shadow. Her abduction represents the necessary descent into the unconscious to integrate rejected aspects. The bad boy phenomenon reveals shadow attraction in action. The well-behaved person is drawn to the rebel because the rebel embodies their suppressed authenticity. The responsible individual craves the irresponsible partner because they carry the freedom the conscious self has sacrificed. First, identify your moral persona, how you want to be seen. Your shadow attractions will be the opposite. Second, instead of acting out shadowed desires through others, begin integrating these aspects consciously into your own life. Parental complexes we seek to heal. Childhood wounds. Sexual attraction is often an unconscious attempt to resolve unfinished psychological business with our parents through romantic partners. Jung revealed that we carry internal images of our parents, complexes that shape all future relationships. We are drawn to partners who either perfectly replicate our parent dynamics or represent their exact opposite. Either way, we are not choosing partners based on compatibility, but on psychological necessity. Freud himself exemplified this principle. His marriage to Martha Bernays was clear mother transference. Martha was domesticated, supportive, and emotionally contained, mirroring his relationship with his mother. Meanwhile, his intense relationship with his sister-in-law Minna represented his anima projection. Freud lived out both patterns simultaneously, unable to integrate these split aspects. Modern dating is littered with parent complexes. The woman attracted to emotionally unavailable men is often seeking to win the love her father withheld. The man drawn to controlling women may be trying to resolve his relationship with a domineering mother. Dating becomes unconscious therapy, where we attempt to heal childhood wounds through adult relationships. First, examine your parents' relationship dynamic. Your attractions will either mirror or oppose these patterns. Second, before committing, ask, am I choosing them or my unresolved parent complex? We have excavated the foundation of Jung's darkest truth. Attraction is never about the other person. It is about your unconscious mind using others as vessels for psychological completion. Your anima, shadow, and parent complexes are the puppet masters of desire. But this is only the beginning. What we've explored explains why you are attracted to certain people. What comes next is far more disturbing. How these unconscious dynamics create patterns that destroy relationships and prevent genuine intimacy. The next principles reveal not just what drives attraction, but what makes it a psychological prison. Projection and withdrawal, the dance of disillusionment. All intense romantic attraction follows a predictable cycle. Projection, recognition of reality. Withdrawal of projection, and the death of love. Jung observed that falling out of love is actually the withdrawal of psychological projections. When you first meet someone, your unconscious projects your anima, shadow, or parent complex onto them. They become a screen for your inner movie. But projections cannot be maintained indefinitely. Reality intrudes, and the person you thought you loved disappears because they never existed outside your mind. Charles Dickens illustrates this perfectly. Dickens projected his anima onto Catherine Hogarth, seeing her as the perfect feminine complement. For years she carried his projection of domestic bliss. But as Catherine revealed her true personality, practical, less intellectual, Dickens's projection withdrew. He became cruel, eventually abandoning her for a younger actress who could carry fresh projections. Modern relationships are projection factories. Dating apps show images onto which we immediately project desires. The honeymoon phase is pure projection. You love who you think they are. Inevitable disillusionment follows when reality breaks through. First, when intensely attracted, ask, "What am I projecting?" Second, look for projection withdrawal. Irritation at traits you once found charming, or feeling they've changed when they likely haven't. The complex constellation, attraction as psychological infection. When two people meet, their unconscious complexes recognize and activate each other, creating a psychological constellation that traps both individuals in destructive patterns. Jung discovered that complexes are psychological magnets. They attract counterparts in others. An abandonment complex seeks an engulfment complex. A victim complex attracts a savior complex. These constellations create the illusion of perfect compatibility, but they are actually mutual psychological prisons where each person's wounds activate the other's pathology. The myth of Orpheus and Eurydice reveals this dynamic. Orpheus represents the animus, creative, logical, seeking to rescue the feminine from the underworld. Eurydice embodies the wounded anima, beautiful but trapped. Their love is a complex constellation, whereas savior complex meets her victim complex. When Orpheus looks back and loses Eurydice forever, the constellation collapsed. Toxic relationships are complex constellations in action. The narcissist finds the empath. The addiction complex attracts the codependent complex. These aren't conscious choices. They are unconscious psychological programs seeking counterparts. First, identify your strongest complex. Notice how you consistently attract people whose complexes activate yours. Second, ask, are we choosing each other, or are our complexes choosing? The collective shadow and cultural attractions. Individual attraction patterns are shaped by the collective shadow of the culture, creating generational cycles of dysfunction that manifest as sexual preferences. Jung revealed that we carry not only personal shadows, but collective ones, the denied aspects of entire cultures. These cultural shadows shape what we find attractive across generations. A culture that represses authentic emotion will eroticize coldness. A culture that denies spirituality will sexualize materialism. Victorian-era sexual repression created the cultural archetype of the dark stranger, the foreign, exotic, dangerous lover who embodied everything Victorian culture rejected. Women were drawn to Byronic heroes not as individuals, but as carriers of their culture's shadow. The entire Romantic movement was collective anima projection. Current cultural shadows shape modern attraction patterns. A culture obsessed with perfection eroticizes imperfection, hence attraction to damaged partners. A culture of constant connectivity sexualizes unavailability. Dating apps reflect and amplify these collective shadows. First, examine which cultural values you were raised with. Then notice how your attractions rebel against these values. Second, question whether your desires are truly yours, or whether you are carrying your generation's collective shadow. We have journeyed through the darkest territories of the human psyche and emerged with Jung's most unsettling truth. Sexual attraction is never what it appears to be. Your desires are orchestrated by your anima seeking completion, your shadow demanding recognition, your complexes seeking counterparts. You are attracted not to people, but to psychological functions they represent in your unconscious drama. Every person you have desired has been a mirror reflecting aspects of yourself. Every relationship has been an attempt at psychological alchemy, transforming the lead of unconscious conflicts into the gold of wholeness. But most relationships fail because we mistake projection for love and complex constellation for compatibility. This knowledge is not meant to make you cynical about love, but to free you from the prison of unconscious attraction. When you understand the psychological forces driving your desires, you gain the power to choose consciously rather than being chosen by your complexes. True intimacy becomes possible only when two whole individuals choose each other, rather than two sets of projections seeking completion. Use this understanding to examine your own patterns, not to manipulate others. The goal is individuation, becoming conscious of your unconscious contents so that you can relate authentically rather than through psychological projections. In the comments, share which of these psychological principles most accurately describes your own attraction patterns, and be honest about what this reveals about your unconscious mind. If this journey into the depths of human psychology has awakened something in you, subscribe to continue exploring the hidden forces that shape our lives. Your like tells me that this knowledge has value, that you are ready to face the uncomfortable truths about human nature that most will never confront. Remember, the unexamined attraction is not worth having. Until next time, choose consciousness over compulsion.